it may well have been one of the greatest hurling seasons of all time.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say in my lifetime anyway, it was probably because there were so many teams involved with a realistic chance of winning it. And you go back to where did it all begin? It all began with the Super 8s. I think the Super 8s had not come in. We still would have went with the same structures as previous years, but I suppose the hurling fraternity got a little bit scared. It was on all the papers, all the stations, how many football games were going to be on from, we'll say, June, July on, and how many hurling games. And they just kind of rushed in. I don't even know how they did it, probably some emergency meeting or that, these new round-robin Leinster and Munster championships, and they just exploded from there. Now, they are very lucky in the fact that there's so many good teams at the moment. Like, you look at Munster, all the 5 teams could win it. You look at Leinster, we'll say last year, we'll say bar Offaly. The other four teams could have won the Leinster Championship last year. So that's 9 out of 10 teams had a realistic chance of winning their championship. So, and then just, as you said, there were so many games so tight, it just exploded. And like, what does everyone love? Like, you remember when Clare won it in 95, when Wexford won in 96, when someone that hasn't won it in so long, it's a fairy tale story, and there were so many other stories in the whole Limerick victory, other than just that final whistle going.
Yeah, I felt like it needed Limerick. Pardon me, it needed Limerick to win for it to be crowned greatest year of all time. If Galway had won, it would have still been a brilliant year, and they would have had to be deserving champions to do it. And obviously, then they would have been a great team too, because they'd gone back to back. But just having Limerick make that breakthrough is special.
Yeah, and like, you know, that I often said about the 94 Limerick team. Like, they were my favourite team growing up. One of my favourite teams, I'd say probably my favourite. Like, I remember all the players, like, we'd be watching matches of a Sunday. You'd go out at half-time, you'd be waiting for half-time, you'd go out and take frees like Gary Kirby.
Yeah.
You'd switch over the hands and all. You have the left hand down at the bottom. And, you know, Kieran Carey, Mike Houlihan used to have the collars up.
Yeah.
And they were just, Gerard Hegarty, like, they were just a brilliant team. Remember Damien Quigley scored a goal in the 94 final against Offaly, where he dived in. I think he was on Shane McGuckie and was cornerback for Offaly. And did everything right, but he dived in and was able to flick the ball into the corner. I remember trying that, nearly puncturing my lung, I'd say, for a few weeks after that, doing that dive on the hard ground. And so they were the great fairy tale team, but they never won it. So was this team going to be something like that, where they'd all heroes over the summer, but they were able to go on then and finish it off? And I'm sure the memories of that 94 thing probably pushed them on that, listen lads, let's make it happen. And like, even at the end, like Tom Condon, who's been such a warrior for so long, came out with that last ball that Joe Canning, you know, it dropped short. And he came out with, like, you know, real tough cornerback, and has been there a good few years. Richie McCarthy, like, we hadn't seen much of him all summer. You know, I suppose we all love Richie McCarthy. He's your old school fullback, comes out, drives 3 lads out over the line, then clears the ball, you know. And he came on in the final and played a brilliant role in the last 20 minutes. So I think, yeah, it was just a fairy tale stuff for Limerick to go on and win it.
The other thing that happened was that the style of play, it can go either way. You know, there had definitely been a move towards more sweepers and a more defensive style, and just trying to close down space in a way that we hadn't seen. But there was a reaction to that this year, in that the forwards and the teams who wanted to create space were more successful than the teams who wanted to deny space.
They were, and I think that's been the saving grace for hurling the last few years, that when it did come to the big games, when it did come to the real, you know, nitty-gritty part of the championship against the top teams, they were the teams that were winning, the team playing the attacking style. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go all out attacking. Like, you often I seen Kyle Hayes back clearing balls on his full backline, half backline. So you go back, but get back up. You don't, you know, leave. Like, you look at any of the teams that were playing with their sweeper systems, like, you know, Wexford, you've Watford, Offaly played against one of the teams with, it could have been the year before, I'm not sure, with 5, with only 4 forwards. But the forwards have poor years.
Yeah.
You know, they really do. They struggle, because if they don't win that ball first time, lads are just coming in, take the ball off them. Yeah. It's not really a 50-50 ball. So I think then, when you go man on man, now, as I said, you go back and defend, help out your defence as well. But when you get back up then, well then, you know, you're making the other team think. And we're very lucky, I think, with hurling, because that's the game we love watching, and that's the one that's successful. So more power to it.
At the same time, you think of one of the great games of the summer, the Clare-Galway first game in Croke Park, and one of the biggest tactical features of that was Colin Galvin deployed as a sweeper. Has there been an alteration in terms of how teams are actually approaching the sweeper? Unless you're playing two, it seems that the way the sport is, it's pretty easy to get around it.
Yeah, well, there's so much analysis now that depends on your own team too. Like, you're playing a team next Sunday. You're probably going to look at every individual player in their backline, what way to clear a ball, and that's probably determine how you're going to pick your sweeper. Like, one time a sweeper was you just pick probably your best hurling guy, put him as the spare man and just let him off you go. But now I'm sure that you're saying, listen, if we'll say if they're playing, say, Galway and Pádraig Mannion gets the ball, well, 9 times out of 10 this is what he does with it, so the sweeper knows where to go. So I just think tactics is, you have to adapt, you have to go at the times. So I'm not saying that you go out and just tell your lads on you go. You have to have some sort of plan for whoever you're playing the Sunday. So I think it's the ability to adapt. So there could be some stage where you might need to employ a sweeper for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on who you're playing on, or whether you're winning or whether you're losing. But I think it's your ability to adapt against the team you're playing. I think that will prove to be successful in whatever team you're playing with.
In terms of highlights over the course of the year, apart from Limerick winning and the style of play that they had, what else sticks out for you?
Well, one of them happened only a few weeks ago, and that was Ballygunner. Like the heartbreak, them guys, now they're after winning a lot of Waterford titles. They have a big population as well, but I'd be down around Waterford a good bit, and the work they're putting in is incredible, from under probably fives, I'd say, right up to senior level. They're a real kind of, although they're kind of just outside the town, they're kind of a town club, they seem to have a country spirit to them.
Yeah.
And you've seen the heartbreak that they're after having, like a county final, no matter what they say, that was on the way to winning a Munster or a Club All-Ireland. The Munster was the big thing. And they won one back in, I think it was 2001, and have lost, was it 7 finals or 5 finals since. And it's grand when it's in something new and you just go on and you get beaten. You say, listen, sure, we're in bonus territory anyway. But they put everything into winning it. And time after time, they just came up that little bit short. And they were beating big teams, but then on the final hurl, they were getting beaten. So I thought, just seeing their celebrations, seeing what they went through and their interviews after it, the Ballygunner victory for me was one of the highlights of the year.
The club obviously makes it a little bit more special. Like there was, I don't know, there was kind of more of a united feel to say the Limerick thing this year than perhaps other inter-county wins we've seen in previous years. But it still comes back to the idea that once you get into the winter hurling, you're going to get the better stories, you're going to get the real community stories that kind of go along with something like Ballygunner.
Yeah, and I suppose the dark nights and the wintry evenings and the wintry weekends, like they make for it as well, because what else would you be doing? So everyone just goes and they watch TG Carr every Sunday, or they go to the match, or there could be under 21 championships, so you're at them on a Saturday and watch one on the telly on the Sunday, or you might even go to it if you can. So I think the club campaign from, we'll say, August, September on to before Christmas is one of the magical times of the year, because everyone is so enthralled, because you're not off on your holidays, you don't have much other things to do, only watch it or be at them games. So we've seen the football there, the team Mullinachta, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was
great story.
We all watched and followed that story for weeks before, and the team up in Donegal as well, Guiador. It was a Guiador won it, and we were following there.
Have you ever gone on the beer as hard as Guiador went on the beer that week?
We have, but lucky enough there was no Twitter around, so no one else saw it. But I suppose coming from a player's perspective and winning things and losing things, magical. I thought it was magical, and just the scene, the way they were celebrating and just hugging each other and enjoying each other's company for the few days after. And I was following them. I seen Kevin Cassidy's interview before or after the county final, and he was saying they learned from their county final, and was it 0-6? They didn't celebrate too much, so they just said they'd wait till after the Ulster. Well, I loved it, and I thought that's why. What's the point in playing sport if you can't celebrate it? And that's what it's all about, like, because in 20 years' time, the memories they'll have will be incredible. So it's a magical time of the year for the club. These 3 or 4 months before Christmas, I think the whole country kind of waves in on it. And fair play to TG Carr, because without them, like, where would we be? Because it's the promotion, really, of any sport.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
See the darts, or
Don't mention the war.
Sure, hate starts.
right? Yeah,
Pure sport.
but the way they promote it, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah.
Club
That's
G-
it's just promotion.
Like the
Anyway.
two greatest stories of 2018 have been Guido and Rob Cross winning the World Darts Championship. That's not true. Is it possible that 2018 has actually made you love Gaelic games more? Like, I didn't think you could possibly get into a situation where you could love Gaelic games and hurling in particular more than you already did, but
Yeah.
This year has been a strange year.
Yeah, it has. It hasn't. I don't think that could happen. I think I love it as much as you could possibly love it. So, but it does. Like, I love being, say, a part of it as regards playing in it. As much as watching it is great, but I do think that to be involved in it, whether that's as a water carrier, as a selector, as a manager, as a physio, as just to be part of it, is even more special. So if you're watching these club campaigns or the Limerick, the Limerick win in the All Ireland, like, and if you see all the boys around it, not just the players, not just the manager, but the management teams or people that are closely involved with it, the enjoyment they're getting out of it is even another level again. So what I would hope is that we keep remembering that yes, it's great as a supporter and we love it, but what's even more special is to be part of it and to be involved in it in some way. So it has actually been a hectic few months.
Did you think, say, obviously the club was very different, but when it came to actually playing with Kilkenny, that you appreciated it as much as you could have? Like, did you kind of soak it in as much as you could have when you realised that you were part of one of the greatest teams of all time?
Yeah, we did, because we were lucky enough, whilst with the media we weren't, too open, or like, we had great crack, like, and the characters we had on our team are huge characters, and we just never allowed that into, giving interviews because we wanted to win. But like, our dressing rooms were epic, after training, before training, while we took training serious, the around that, even after our victories and our losses, our winters, we were very close. Like, we were like a club team, really. Like, whilst, you didn't have to be best friends with everyone. Like, you had great friends in there that it was like they were your school friends. And we were lucky enough that I wouldn't look back and say, right, because Brian Cody probably, his mantra going in was that he create a spirit that couldn't be broken. We all know that at this stage. So that was our number one, and the winning came after that, made it that bit more special. But we kind of honed in on that, on having great, like, we used to go off to Carton House for weekends. We used to have, first of all, we used to have soccer games, and that had to be banned because it was getting a bit rough. So we ended up having penalty shootouts. And you'd be a crack going on. The whole 2 weeks before Carton House would be the draws for the penalty shootouts, the draws for this, and we ended up having a North versus South, all this kind of a thing. So I think we just enjoyed, I know we talk about journeys and that, but the journey was unreal as well. And listen, it was topped off by the victories, but it was still, if we had never won, there were special times. So no, I'd say we enjoyed everything we could, and we're lucky.
Who could take the best penalty in that Kilkenny team?
Well, who would you say won the penalty shootout? The first one? If you had to make a guess.
Henry?
Who wins everything? So, like, steps up, bang, 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 goes home with, I think we had, what was it? It wasn't a microwave, it was something like that we had sponsored from Sean Swan Electrical in Carlow, a great kind of a retailer below in Carlow, and he sponsored, David Herity got onto him, and he sponsored I can't remember now, was it? It could have been a television or something like that. And Sir Henry won it, we were maybe thinking a young lad might won it that's going to college or something like that, but the King, and it was a great shootout now, in fairness.
And who's in goals? Are the goalkeepers in goals?
No, it was a different lad every time.
Right.
So I think we had a North versus South, so if a North lad was taking it, to be a South lad in goal. Okay. And like, we had a great rivalry that time in the panel between the North and the South, and we used to always say when the North was going well, Kilkenny were going well, and the South lads didn't like that, but so it was just banter, like banter. So I don't know, it could have been Jackie or someone could have been on goal, because Henry was obviously the South, so, but he tucked it away anyway. When
you talk about being involved, obviously you had some injury problems across the year that didn't let you play as much as you wanted to,
yeah.
But you were back. Were you back fully fit in time for the county final?
Ah, yeah, I know. I was fully fit all year, except for it was the in-betweeners. I wasn't. So as regards between matches, like, you're training. I'm trying to learn. I have to try and learn now how to manage my body right. As regards stay tough, stay focused, but also not be stupid.
Yeah.
As regards, because,
stuff that you did when you were younger, you get away with. Now you don't.
Yeah, well, I still feel that when I go to the physio, I'm better off staying away from him. So you're just better off getting through it, and it kind of just heals itself after a while. And so I learned that again during the summer. I had to take I hurt my knee, did medial ligaments in my knee. So, like, you will gather from talking since I started with yourselves that it wasn't just the big matches that I loved. I loved the Welsh Cup and all that. So this year was a tough year playing regards. I was missing a lot of the smaller games, and I was missing a lot of the training sessions where I had to pull in and out of them. So it was a tough year that way. And I didn't really enjoy it from regards a playing point of view, because you're playing with injuries and you can't really give it everything, and you're pulling out with tackling sessions and that, because, the problem with my shoulder as well. And but like for games, I was perfect.
Yeah.
It was just the preparation. Now maybe that's what you need at 35, 36 years of age, that keeps you fresh going into the game. So like the games itself I enjoyed.
Yeah.
But it was just the lead up to them, the trainings were tough.
Is the county final a low light, or has it become something that's just part of your life now, that you lost one that it feels like maybe you left behind?
Well, I spent since 2000 trying to get to a county final. So 2018 it is now, and I got to one, was beaten. But I remember going into semi-finals that time when the Shamrocks were going well, and Cha was flying in midfield, Henry, TJ, Michael Darmley, a guy I lived with in college, playing wing back, and they're always in semi-finals and finals, and we were being knocked out in first rounds.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, just let me be involved in these semi-final days, and that's all you want, so you're not looking in wishing you were there. And for the last few years we're intermediate, and we've got the chance to be in semi-finals, and this year a final. So it was brilliant to get to it, and definitely a tough loss to get beaten. And yourself, we were playing against our biggest rivals, and I would probably have a bigger rivalry than most with them, because last house in Tullerone and right on the border. So it was a tough loss, but we'll get over it. Like, we were there before, and our fathers, our uncles, our grandfathers are resilient. It's a resilient place, small little parish, but it's different now, is that we've a great culture at the moment. We're after building the last probably 4 or 5 years. When we were senior, we were only winning one match a year, and it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough to keep things going. Since we went back intermediate, it's like it reinvigorated the whole place. So from under sevens right up to intermediate, the place is buzzing. And
because they get to come and watch you win matches as well.
They're watching it all year round.
Yeah.
And and the Camogie club is flying it. Like, they won the under 12 Ryanays this year, 2 in a row.
Right.
And small place, as I said, we won the under 21 Ryan B this year, Camogie. Won the under 17 hurling. So like, it's vibrant in the parish at the moment, and it's not just the hurling. Like, it's the whole community at the moment. Like, we've a racquetball club in Tullerone now. We've an athletics club, and this is all in the hurling field.
Right.
So we've the soccer club started back up this year. We've the athletics club. We have the ladies, kind of mothers and others. So like, everything in Tullerone now is revolving around the field.
Yeah.
And it's a great time to be.
Why did that happen? What changed to bring everybody back?
I think just the people, hard work, and I suppose winning stuff. Then it does.
It helps.
As you said, like, although we haven't been winning championships, we've been winning games. So when young fellas of 10, 12 years of age are going to watch games you're winning, right? They're going back then winning. So their parents, who mightn't be involved in either, are on the high because their children are enjoying it, and it just kind of snowballs from there. And like our Camogie club, the girls won the intermediate 3 or 4 years ago, Kilkenny, and then went on and won the Leinster.
Right.
And there were, young Maloney that plays football and hurling for the Tipperary, brilliant player, is part of that great Tipperary football team. She was on the care team to beat them narrowly in a semi-final. So like, all this then feeds in, because it's the same families.
Yeah, of course.
And Camogie, hurling, and I think just everyone then develops a work ethic from that. And we've a great kind of say if your county boards in the inter-county, the club version of that, the commissions or whatever, very hard working, they're driving everything on.
Yeah.
And I think just everything then, it's all you're geared by your environment then. And
It was interesting to see Henry step into club management so seamlessly. I mean, I think a lot of people expected it would happen.
Yeah.
Is that something that you think that a lot of your teammates are actually going to end up doing, that because that culture was so self-generating, that actually there's a lot of managers in waiting on amongst your peers?
Yeah, well, I think what it is most of them are addicted to the game or addicted to competing. Like even in school, like I was in school with, say, Jackie and Hoagie and a few more of them, even off the field, just very competitive guys. And sure, this is what they know best. So a lot of them are going through their last probably 5 years now of hurling. So it'll all start dropping off probably over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think slowly then you'll see, as they finish their hurling careers, they will get into the management careers without a shadow of a doubt. I'd say most of them. And that's the subs as well. Like even the subs of them for years, I see a lot of them in club management now. PJ Delaney and a few more. Sure, you see David Herity. So yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, they will get into it, and their success then will, I suppose, a lot of it will depend on the teams they're with as well.
And the quality of players coming through.
Quality of players.
Yeah, I expected to be able to drive things on. Is that something you were interested in? 'Cause like you're coaching kids already. Is this something that you're thinking, actually, because you say about being addicted to it, it's clear you are.
Yeah.
So is that something that's in your head at some point?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like Simon Walton, who will be the chairman of our board in Oak. So when I started getting involved, he said, listen, just one word of advice: if you're doing something, do it well. So I had to make the decision then, like, do you get into it and play, and then something's going to give? Can you do either of them well?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm involved with the under sevens. That it allows me. That's a Monday night. That allows me to be involved in helping the underage players, but also 100% focus on hurling, because I'm on hurl, as I said before, till I'm 40.
Yeah.
And try and be, on the team in 40 and. That's year to year. I mightn't be on it this year.
Yeah.
So you have to give everything to be there. So I won't be getting involved until...
When do you go back out to being a midfielder whose job it is just to pass the ball and hit ball in? When does that happen?
Yeah, I don't think that you can do that anymore, because midfielders are expected to be in the full back line and the full forward line, so...
You could be old school.
Oh, yeah, you could be, yeah, but I will see, but yeah, in a few years. Now, you will see, I would predict success for some of them guys, like I said, Jackie,
Yeah.
JJ, Taggy, Hero's already here. We've seen what Henry is doing.
Yeah.
So I'd say...
Like you talk about their competitiveness. Is there a situation where 5-10 years down the line, it's the situation where off the field there's this unbelievable race to become Kilkenny manager? Like, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves quite a bit there, but if they're bringing that level of competition to their off the field careers, then you'd imagine that would be the case. They've all got their minds on one job and one job only.
Yeah, Henry definitely will. They will. Yeah, absolutely.
Who's the most suited?
Well, sure, I'd say Henry will get it at some stage. It depends on what happens over the next few years, a few of them. Now, there's a lot of good guys there in Kilkenny as well at the moment that are involved in underage setups that will throw their hats, in time. And I suppose, let's give it time. When the job does become available, that could be a few years' time. I wouldn't like to be pushing anyone into it this time, but, I'd say Henry, like, he's won in his first year, so, like, not bad, and he's still going, and just a team, like, I think they were in the Club All-Ireland, was it in 2015?
Yeah.
And they've 7 guys gone off that team.
I didn't realise there's so much turnover, yeah.
So
that's actually the question. Who is the most competitive out of your great Kilkenny team? Like, who's the fella who would do anything to win more than any other player? Is it Henry?
No, there's a good few of them in it. That's
hard to pick between them.
You couldn't. There's so many of them. Like Taggy's an incredible competitor, like all in different ways, like some in their quiet ways, some in their big ways. Taggy was an incredible, like JJ would be very kind of softly spoken, but the competitive competitors, all them guys I spoke about, like they are, by from talking to them. I don't think any one of them really stood out, like David Hershey, PJ Delaney, all guys who just, would do anything to win,
Well, undoubtedly we're going to do some of your highlights. We've got some videos for them, which we'll play in a little while, but undoubtedly one of our highlights was you picking up the IMRO Radio Award 2018 for newcomer, and we haven't had the chance to present it to you yet.
Thanks very much.
Congratulations.
Yeah, great.
Couldn't make it. The awards, we arranged it so the awards day would be in Kilkenny, but couldn't come because it was training.
Do you have an acceptance speech ready?
No, thanks. No, listen, it is an honour, absolute honour, because, you know, I suppose didn't expect to be involved in radio, never mind winning an award, but it was probably summed up by a former, I won't say who it was, but a former inter-county manager said to me, he just said, well done on the job you're doing in the radio. He said, you don't speak the language, he said, that is in the Oxford English Dictionary, but you speak our language. So I said, listen, sure, that probably sums it up, because in fairness to you guys, you kind of leave me at it, and, you know, so it's a team effort, and we're all part of it, you know, we kind of rub off each other, and I think that's the main thing. We enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, good stuff. We'll talk more about some of the highlights a little bit later on, but we want to move on to our next item, because Paul Rouse is going to join us in studio to talk about a new documentary that's out about the greatest All-Ireland football final. One of the greatest All-Ireland football finals ever. The second best team in history being denied the opportunity to do its 5 in a row. That's how we're phrasing this one while Owen's in the room anyway.